First of all, congratulations to all the Warriors fans. Your team has done it again. Secondly, for the Celtics fans, terrible luck. Maybe next year is your year. But either way, the big story from last week, Golden State Warriors win the NBA Finals. In case you missed the action, we've got a quick recap with all the important stuff from Game 6. First up, Golden State Warriors win NBA title. The buzzer was a formality in Game 6. Steph Curry and company had already fallen to their knees, and the result of the game was evident long before it finished. In fact, some would say even Game 6 was a formality because of the way the Warriors turned the series around thanks to a certain chef who's extremely good at basketball. By halftime, the Warriors had a 15-point lead over the Celtics, and with Tatum missing, only the very die-hard Boston fans would still have clung on to hope. He or she would have been rewarded by the way the Celtics started the third quarter, but the Warriors kept pace and had just enough to sweep them away. Not to forget that this came after a 14-2 start by the Celtics. Sadly though, it was 22-16 with 2:53 remaining in the first quarter. But the Celts shouldn't be hard on themselves. This Warriors side is stupidly good. Their offense is unmatched, and they got even better in the playoffs. The Warriors started strong, were good throughout the game, and ended the series, in particular, on a magnificent note. We all know how good Boston defends, but the way Steve Kerr set up his side, the series was over a long time ago, and even when the Celtics had the lead, they still didn't have the confidence. They weren't comfortable because their best attribute was being nullified, and it was only a moment of time before the offense would stop punching above their weight. And then, of course, you have to play against someone called Steph Curry. Next, Stephen Curry isn't normal. We tried telling you before. We tried warning the NBA about it, but no one gave him a chance, did they? Every time, people ended up critiquing him. Why? Because he plays the game differently from anyone else that we've ever seen? You won't see him attacking the basket regularly, and he can't physically impose himself in every game. Yet ending the game with 30 points at least seems like a piece of cake. Plus, teams are built around these unique players. The Warriors, thanks to Curry, have become a streaky team. They've copied his best trait, and there aren't many teams that hit three-pointers better than them. But Curry's confidence can't be forgotten. The man's a nightmare to defend, and the way he just grabbed the Warriors by the scruff of their necks and took them home after being down 2-1 in the series, that's insane. Steph averaged 31.2 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals as well. How are you meant to compete? Not to mention that he was putting up all these numbers against the best defense in the league, and he also had one of his worst games in the postseason in Game 5. But the GOATs don't rely on confidence or luck. Their class is permanent, and that's what we learned about Steph. He came up with a 34-point performance in the series-clinching affair before peaking in Game 4, when he put together 43 points from 14 out of 26 and 7 three-pointers. When we say he was unplayable, we really can't stress this more. Next, Celtics disappointing. Hopeless. The Celtics came into the finals with a lot of hope and some amazing backing from mainstream media. They were being backed as the favorites, and we'll say this much: any other team in the finals and the Celtics win the championship. Not this Warriors side, though. They're different gravy, and even at 2-1 up, the Boston side would have known it. But they need to take the blame. They just didn't show up when it was needed. Tatum was magnificent in the regular season and picked up his game in the clutch moments throughout the postseason. But his disappearance from the finals was highly concerning, and that could be one of the differences between a player that will be remembered for years to come and someone who was just punching above his weight. The Celtics, all things considered, still defended pretty well, and had they been good enough on the offense, things would have been much different. No time for ifs, ands, or buts, though. It was still a successful season for the franchise, and they should be proud of themselves and the break they've earned. No doubt about it. Udoka and his team will be looking back at the finals and thinking that they had it all but lost it. Thing is, if they'd taken advantage of Curry's day off, we could have been preparing for Game 7, and these things definitely do take a toll on the sides. We hope that the Celtics can brush themselves off and get in shape for a big 2022. And now, Poole and youngsters crucial in the Warriors' final win. While we can still praise Steph's performance for another 30 minutes and it would be justified, we have to mention the shift put in by the likes of Jordan Poole and other young blood in the Warriors camp. That's one reason why the GSW fans should be very, very optimistic about the future, because it looks really bright. As we've learned from the display from the Celtics, championship pedigree is a real thing. Luckily for the Warriors, their young talent has enough experience after this run, and they should be able to take up the mantle and guide them to many more deep postseason runs. The likes of Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody played an important part throughout the series. Jordan Poole, the 23-year-old star, should be taking the plaudits for the youngsters, as he deserves it, because he was immense. Now in other news, Kyrie, Nets reach impasse. Lakers interested. As of Monday, the Brooklyn Nets and Kyrie Irving's reps have reached an impasse in their discussions over a contract. It's looking increasingly likely that Kyrie will be on his way out in the offseason. As Stephen A. Smith put it, Kyrie's demands are delusional. That certainly isn't the news the Nets wanted to hear, or maybe even KD, especially now that the Warriors have won the championship too. The last week must have been pure hell for KD. But on the other hand, the Lakers are extremely interested in acquiring Irving. It'd be nothing short of a blockbuster move, and now, with the Nets' hands tied, it could actually become a reality. The discussions for a move won't be easy, given the fact that the Lakers don't have enough young talent or draft capital to play with, so they'll need to improvise. Of course, Russell Westbrook would be the most obvious candidate to be traded, and that might be something that KD's interested in. Would the Nets agree to that deal, though? Are they willing to take a punt on Westbrook, especially after the kind of season he's had with the Lakers? They might not have a choice if KD pushes for it. Next, Miles Turner for DeAndre Ayton. If the rumors are to be believed, the Suns will be looking to trade DeAndre Ayton in the summer. He failed to agree on an extension with the franchise last summer because the Suns didn't want to make a long-term financial commitment with Ayton, and it seems that hasn't changed this year either. Many teams will be keeping a close eye on how the negotiations progress, but if the Suns are smart enough, they should be looking to get something in return for Ayton, and Miles Turner could be the perfect option. There could be other options, like trading him to the Raptors, Hawks, or even the Pistons, but they can't get anyone better than Turner in return for Ayton from all those franchises. He's only 26, and that means the Suns can maintain their trajectory of competing now and building a team for the future. There will be a few questions over his adjustment in Phoenix's pick-and-roll game, but nothing good coaching can't fix. Lastly, Gobert to the Warriors? Take this one definitely with a tablespoonful of salt, but we liked the possibility and how it could transform the Warriors in the upcoming season. There's no denying that Rudy Gobert will be leaving the Utah Jazz this summer, and there's no doubting his talent either. He's a superb defensive player, and he's the perfect rim protector and rebounder, something that could make the Warriors invincible. The way they won the NBA Finals, if they had Gobert, it probably would have ended in an embarrassing 4-0 if we're being honest. In a potential trade for Gobert, the rumor indicates the likes of Draymond Green and James Wiseman going the other way, and that's definitely realistic. Not sure if the Jazz would be happy with those two entries, but in terms of practicality, they make a lot of sense. James Wiseman is an interesting prospect, and we're not sure whether Kerr would be thrilled in letting him go, but sometimes such sacrifices are crucial, especially when they're addressing a huge problem that the Warriors have. That's a wrap for this video. What was the most impressive thing about the Warriors' performance in the finals? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.